As dawn broke over the Wyoming prairies, golden light spilled across the rolling plains, tipping the knee-high grass with the first hues of morning. Near a weathered boulder amidst the dense foliage, a female bobcat was gripped by powerful contractions. Her sleek, tawny coat, dappled with dark rosettes, shimmered with sweat under the rising sun. This wasn't an ideal spot. She had been scouting for a den or a sheltered nook, but labor had struck too swiftly. Her instincts screamed that the time was now. After 4 grueling hours, 5 tiny lives entered the wild prairie. The first 4, each about 600 grams, were robust, instinctively nuzzling for their mother's milk. Their first breaths were strong, their mules piercing the crisp air. The 5th, however, arrived late, a frail cub weighing just 380 grams. His frame was delicate, his cry barely a whisper. The mother bobcat licked him vigorously, urging his heart and lungs to strengthen, but his faint signs of life flickered uncertainly. For 3 days, the mother relocated her cubs constantly, her instincts warning that lingering too long invited danger from coyotes or hawks. She carried each one gently through the tall grass, her movements swift and silent. The first 4 thrived, but the runt showed no progress. Too weak to compete for milk, he was often nudged aside by his siblings. His vitality ebbed with each hour. On the 4th morning, the mother sensed a deeper wrongness. The runt's body was cold, his heartbeat erratic, his tiny eyes fluttered, as if surrendering to the inevitable. She licked him desperately, but his responses grew fainter. The distant rumble of engines sharpened her focus. 3 off-road vehicles crawled along a dirt trail 200 meters away, pausing intermittently as tourists snapped photos of grazing pronghorn. The mother bobcat crouched low, her amber eyes locked on the convoy, particularly the last vehicle, painted dusty brown. After 20 minutes, the vehicles halted. A guide gestured toward the pronghorn herd, and windows rolled down as cameras clicked. In the last vehicle, a woman sat alone in the back, slightly apart from a group. The mother glanced at her runt, then back at the vehicle. An instinct, primal and unspoken, took hold. Clutching the runt gently in her jaws, she crept through the grass, silent as a shadow. With a swift, precise leap, she placed the cub on the seat beside the woman, who was turned away. For a fleeting moment, the mother's gaze met Emily Carter's stunned eyes, a wordless plea exchanged. Then she vanished, retreating to her 4 remaining cubs. The mother bobcat never returned to that patch of prairie. Her instincts drove her to lead her healthy cubs to safer grounds, far from human trails. Emily Carter, 57, barely registered the moment. 1 second, she was framing pronghorn through her camera. The next, a tiny, damp creature lay beside her, and the image of the bobcat melting into the grass burned in her mind. Her startled gasp alerted the group. Lena, the 38-year-old guide with a decade of leading tours, assessed the scene. She'd seen wildlife act unpredictably, but never a mother bobcat entrusting her cub to humans. "He's fading fast," Lena said, cradling the fragile cub. "We need to get to the conservation center now." After a tense 40-minute drive, they reached the Wind River Wildlife Sanctuary. Veterinarian Dr. James Patel, 45, met the emergency with practiced calm. His hands moved deftly, checking the cub's vitals. "Severe malnutrition, dehydration, low body temperature," he noted, preparing equipment. "And there's a faint heart murmur, likely congenital." He gave the cub a 20% chance of surviving the night. The team set up a tiny 4 for fluids, placed the cub in a warmed incubator, and fed glucose through a feeding tube. Emily, meant to rejoin the tour, stayed behind. Unknown to the team, she had been a neonatal nurse in Seattle before retiring, having lost her daughter to a rare heart condition 4 years prior. "Can I assist?" Emily asked, watching Dr. Patel adjust the cub's medications. For the next 72 hours, she barely left the treatment room, leveraging her expertise to fine-tune dosages, monitor vitals, and devise a feeding method for the frail cub. They named him Flicker for the spark of life he clung to. On the 4th day, a small miracle unfolded. Flicker's eyes opened, weak but resolute. He began responding to touch and took milk from a specialized bottle. Each gram he gained was a triumph. Emily delayed her return home. Days stretched into weeks. She rented a small cabin near the sanctuary, spending hours with Flicker, feeding him, tracking his heart rhythm, and teaching him skills his mother would have imparted. Dr. Patel, initially wary of Emily's involvement, came to value her medical insight and unwavering commitment. Flicker grew stronger, his heartbeat stabilizing, a testament to the care of a team bound by a shared hope and a bobcat's quiet trust. At the Wind River Wildlife Sanctuary, Emily Carter and Dr. James Patel crafted a tailored treatment plan for Flicker, blending insights from human neonatal cardiology with bobcat physiology. After 2 months, Dr. Patel said, "You've done more than enough, Emily. We can take it from here." But Emily couldn't walk away. In Flicker's determined gaze, she saw a spark reminiscent of her daughter's fight against her heart condition, a quiet, unyielding will to survive. 6 months later, Flicker had grown into a sturdy cub. His ventricular septal defect, inoperable, persisted, but he adapted. He'd never match his siblings' prowess in the wild, but a fulfilling life was within reach. 18 months after that extraordinary day, Emily stood on a ridge overlooking a 40-hectare enclosure secured with advanced electronic fencing. Below, a young bobcat crouched in the prairie grass, eyeing a pronghorn fawn grazing nearby. Emily hadn't returned to Seattle. She sold her condo, liquidated her savings, and relocated to Wyoming. With funding from the Global Wildlife Trust, she helped establish the Wind River Bobcat Sanctuary, a semi-wild haven for bobcats unable to fully return to nature. Flicker was its first resident. Now weighing 12 kilos and measuring nearly a meter long, he was a striking young bobcat, his tawny coat with dark rosettes radiating wild beauty. A faint scar on his chest from months of intensive care was the only hint of his fragile start. Emily, Dr. Patel, and wildlife specialists developed a reintegration program. Initially, Flicker found pre-placed food hidden in the enclosure. Over time, they introduced live prey, voles, rabbits, then larger animals. Each step was bittersweet for Emily, who reminded herself the goal wasn't to keep Flicker close, but to prepare him for his true home. Every honed instinct, every successful stalk brought him closer to independence and to their inevitable parting. The hunt unfolding below was a critical milestone, Flicker's first unassisted pursuit of large prey. Emily and Dr. Patel watched from a distance, hearts pounding but hands still. Flicker's first 2 attempts were too hesitant, spooking the pronghorn. On the third, he adapted, using the wind and terrain to his advantage. A swift, precise lunge to the fawn's neck ended the hunt in seconds. Emily closed her eyes, pride mingling with quiet sorrow. This was the moment she'd worked for, yet it signaled their time together was nearing its end. A week later, the sanctuary team made a startling discovery. Trail cameras spotted a group of female bobcats with cubs 10 kilometers away, at the edge of the reserve. DNA from scat samples suggested one female might be Flicker's kin. After heated debates, the team decided to fit Flicker with a GPS collar and release him near the group. No fences, no safety net, a true chance at the wild. On Flicker's final day at the sanctuary, Emily sat near him as he rested under a cottonwood tree. She kept her distance, as physical contact had long ceased, but when Flicker awoke, his eyes met hers with a silent understanding. At dawn, the crate door opened. Flicker hesitated, glanced back at Emily and the team, then slipped into the prairie grass. The next 2 weeks were nerve-wracking. GPS data showed Flicker exploring cautiously, keeping his distance from the bobcat group but hunting successfully. 2 small pronghorn. On day 18, the GPS revealed something remarkable. Flicker had approached the group. Camera traps captured him resting just meters from an adult female. No aggression, only tentative curiosity. In the months that followed, Emily founded the Flicker Bobcat Conservation Initiative, dedicated to protecting and studying bobcats across the region, ensuring others, like Flicker, could find their place in the wild. The story of Flicker, the rescued bobcat, captured global attention, shining a spotlight on the declining bobcat populations in the American West. Donations poured in, enabling the Wind River Bobcat Sanctuary to expand and launch educational outreach in nearby towns. Emily Carter now lives in a modest cabin near the Wind River Research Center, working part-time to support wildlife rehabilitation and train local staff in animal care. Each morning, she sips coffee on her porch, gazing across the Wyoming prairies where Flicker roams free. GPS data and camera traps provide glimpses of his life. His heart condition limits his hunting prowess, but he's carved out a niche in the ecosystem. Recent images show him integrated into the Bobcat group, with hints he may have bonded with a young female. When GPS signals place Flicker near the research center, Emily drives out, binoculars in hand. Sometimes, she catches a tawny shadow weaving through the grass, rosettes glinting in the sun. On rare occasions, sharp amber eyes meet hers, a fleeting connection across worlds. The mother bobcat's extraordinary act that day was guided by instinct. That same instinct now steers Flicker through his wild life. Humanity, Emily learned, can bridge the gap with compassion, but must also know when to step back. She'll never know if the mother bobcat saw something in her, or if desperation drove the choice. Emily chooses to believe it was a deeper bond, a testament that salvation can emerge from unexpected places, linking humans and nature through empathy. Excerpt from Emily Carter's diary, June 15, 2024. Today marks 3 years since Lily's death. 3 years since my daughter, just 10, lost her battle with a heart defect. 3 years of moving through life in a fog, not living, just surviving. Mark left after the first year, unable to face the constant reminder of her absence. I don't blame him. I barely recognize myself. This Wyoming tour was a reckless attempt to feel something again. The prairies, so far from Seattle's sterile hospitals and the antiseptic scent that lingers in my nightmares, seemed like an escape. June 28, 2024. Something unthinkable happened today. A mother bobcat placed her cub beside me. Her eyes locked with mine, and I felt a spark, something beyond explanation. Now I'm at the Wind River Sanctuary, watching a tiny life fight to survive. His heart murmurs, a ventricular septal defect, just like Lily's. Coincidence or fate? July 2nd, 2024. Fourth sleepless night. Flicker, named for his fragile spark, had a rough night. Fever spiked, heart racing. I tweaked his antibiotics and fluids, drawing on old nursing instincts. Dr. Patel was surprised by my cardiac knowledge. I haven't told him about Lily. How do you start that story? When I listen to Flicker's uneven heartbeat, it's like hearing Lily's again. This time, I won't let go. July 17th, 2024. A month since Flicker came to me. He's up from 380 grams to 1.1 kilos. Small, but a miracle. I've canceled my flight back to Seattle. There's nothing left for me there. Here, I have purpose. Lily loved animals. Her room overflowed with books on bobcats and wolves. We planned a trip to Yellowstone when she got better. A plan that never happened. September 3rd, 2024. Flicker chased a lure today. A sack of meat dragged across the field. Clumsy, but his instincts are waking. Dr. Patel says we must prepare for his release. I know he's right, but I can't picture life without Flicker. I couldn't save Lily, but I can save him. December 25th, 2024. First Christmas in Wyoming. No snowflakes, no carols, but peace I didn't expect. Flicker caught a rabbit today, his gift to me. I wept for the first time since Lily's funeral, not from grief, but release. Maybe this is why the mother bobcat chose me. Maybe we all need saving. February 14th, 2025, I'm designing a 40-hectare sanctuary for Flicker and other bobcats who can't fully return to the wild. I sold my Seattle condo and emptied my savings. Mark thinks I've lost it. Maybe I have. But I feel alive again. June 20th, 2025, we released Flicker near the Bobcat group today. I didn't think I could do it, but I did. Watching him vanish into the grass, I realized this is how Lily would want me to live, not in sorrow, but in purpose born from loss. The mother bobcat taught me the hardest lesson. The greatest love is letting go. She gave her cub a chance by giving him up.